write down your questions. Certainly, you'll have questions, but Lynn does a phenomenal job leading this presentation. So we appreciate you taking the time to be here. And man, I've myself included, I've seen so many people with financial backgrounds learn new things getting involved with Money Max, right? I've seen people with lifelong careers in financial services learn new things working with Money Max. And so if you like to uh, if you like industry disrupting solutions and you like doing things a new way when you found one that's better, you are in the right place. So I see it's the top of the hour. So take it away, Lynn. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Marty. Appreciate that very much. And good morning, everybody, and welcome. I definitely want to welcome you to the most lucrative and rewarding agency model business ever developed in the US. Friends, this is such a powerful opportunity that you can get into with almost nothing out of your own pocket. And this is an opportunity where you can earn as much as $1,000 a day or more by helping others begin their financial freedom journey. And you're going to see here this morning how this just changes everything for American families. We are solving America's affordability crisis. How many of you realize and recognize we are in the worst affordability crisis that this country has ever seen? This is a horrible time for a lot of families that are just struggling to make ends meet. And they're having a hard time paying their rent, putting groceries on the table. People that are buying homes, the rate of foreclosures is increasing dramatically every single month. People are becoming insolvent. Well, friends, the good news is United Financial Freedom and the Money Max account is solving America's affordability crisis, and we're hitting it head on. And you're going to see how we're doing that here this morning. Friends, United Financial Freedom is the first and only financial technology company that has been specifically designed and created to help the average American family eliminate 75 to 80%, as much as 80% of the interest on all of their debts. Think about that. If you could do away with as much as 75 to 80% of the interest on your debts, including your mortgage, your car loans, student loans, credit cards, and pay them off in a small fraction of the normal time in as little as 5 to 7 years, for an example, including your home, and you didn't have to refinance, you didn't have to change your current lifestyle, what would that mean for you and your family? How would that change your future? Well, Marty, I'm going to let you cover this slide and then I'll go into our demo here this morning.
Yeah, so celebrate with us. This is so exciting. And oftentimes, as an agent, when I am running a free analysis to show someone what's possible for their particular circumstance, we show them the exact day they're going to be debt free, how much money and interest they're going to save. And sometimes people come back to us and say, I don't know, this seems too good to be true. But here you go. This is the history, the documented history of our company. We have been in business over 22 years. We've already helped over 70,000 families all the way through their entire debt free journey. And currently, what do these numbers mean? So, currently, we're helping clients pay off over 10.7 billion with a B dollars of consumer principal debt. That's not even including the interest. Okay, so double that number probably. Okay, and as to date, our clients have already paid off over 2.9 principal dollars of consumer debt. And so this week we're celebrating an additional 5.55 million added to new Money Max accounts, helping new clients wipe out an additional $5.5 million of debt. And our current clients paid off over almost $2.7 million of debt just this week. And so if that's not exciting, I think you're not awake. So pinch yourself, get another cup of coffee, something. But it's not too good to be true. So stay tuned.
Thank you, Marty. Appreciate that very much. And that is so exciting. That just spells proven all over it. And yes, friends, we've been around for 20 plus years. And those numbers absolutely prove that this program works. So I want to go through a demo here this morning and unlock the power of the Money Max account for you. This is for illustration purposes only. Obviously, your situation is going to differ. The people that you choose to help, their situation is going to differ. But that's what makes the Money Max account so incredible, is that it's literally designed specifically for each family. It's unique to each family and their circumstances. So I'm going to start out and share Brad and Cindy Johnson. When Brad and Cindy got started on their journey with the Money Max account, it was September of 2023. And at the time, they had $1,000 in their checking account. They had $5,138.89 in a high yield savings account. And they had just moved into a brand new home. At the time, that home was valued at $475,000. So their total assets when they began, again, September of 2023, their total assets were $481,138.89. Now, just like most American families, Brad and Cindy had a lot of debt hanging over their heads, and they needed to get out of that debt. They wanted to get out of that debt. They wanted to get it paid off and behind them, because they were in their early 30s to mid 30s, and they knew, guys, in order to save for retirement, in order to get to that point where you've got money to retire, we've got to get rid of these debts, and we've got to do it as fast as possible. So that when they were introduced to the Money Max account, they didn't even hesitate. They just jumped in with both feet and got started. Now, at the time they started, they had five consumer debts: an American Express, an auto loan, a MasterCard, a student loan, and a Visa. Now, friends, I'll tell you right now, this student loan normally would have had 20 years of payments attached to it. It normally would have taken them 20 years to pay that off. But as you're going to see here in a moment, that's no longer the case because of the Money Max account. And they had three credit cards: the American Express, the MasterCard, and the Visa. I want you to note the interest rate on each one of these debts. It's showing the balance, when the next payment is due, how much is still available on the credit card. So 80,000 of consumer debt. And as I mentioned, they had just started a brand new mortgage, a brand new 30-year mortgage at 6%. And the principal balance on that was $389.9, monthly payment, including escrow, $2,837.65. So Brad and Cindy have a total principal debt load going into this program of $469,936. You see it right there, $469,936. That's the total principal debt that they owe to the various banks and the lenders. Here's the first piece of really, really, really good news for Brad and Cindy. You see this dashboard? It says, guys, you're not going to be in debt 20 years. You're not going to be in debt 30 years. You're going to be debt free in 10 years. And yeah, you'll still have to spend some money on interest, but this program is going to save you $337,000 of interest that you would have otherwise paid the banks and the lenders. Friends, is that a big deal? That's a huge, huge deal for Brad and Cindy. Think about that. What could they do if they're saving 20 years of debt payments? If they're saving 337,000, how does that change the future for not only Brad and Cindy, but for their children and grandchildren? Well, I want to show you another number here this morning, and I want you to really think about this. If I add the remaining interest together with the amount that we're going to save them with the Money Max program, that gives us this number right here. This number represents how much interest the banks and the lenders would have charged Brad and Cindy had they not gotten onto the Money Max account. Think about that. There's the principal balance that they owe, $469,936, and the banks and the lenders collectively said, yes, we'll loan you that money, but we're going to charge you $491,706 of interest on top of the principal. Friends, do you realize that mathematically, that's 104.63% interest over the life of those debts? Mathematically, Brad and Cindy would have had to pay back $961,426, almost $1 million And yet the principal balance that they began owing, or that they had owing at the time they got in the program, less than 500,000. Why is there so much interest when we've got interest rates of 6%, maybe 21%, maybe 23% on a credit card? How does that turn into 104.63% interest? Well, I'm going to show you the answer to that question in a moment, so stay tuned. Now, let me show you the rest of their scenario. Brad and Cindy made pretty good money at the time that they got started. You can see that they're both paid semi-monthly. Brad's bringing home about 1950 semi-monthly. Again, this was in September of 2023, and Cindy was bringing home about 2250 semi-monthly. So they're collectively combined bringing home about $8,400 after tax. They've got their expenses. Some are itemized, some are unitemized. Their expense budget for their household is about $2,755 per month. You can see that some of that is itemized and detailed and some is not. But if you add in the debt payments, they're spending a total of an average of $65.73.13 every month out of the $8,400 that they're bringing home. So pretty typical of most American families. They're spending most of what they bring home in the form of living expenses and debt payments. Now, do you remember when I told you that the beautiful part about this program is that it is individually engineered for each family, and it is precise for each family. In fact, it is so mathematically precise. Friends, we've had engineers, we've had accountants, we've had people that thought they were really, really smart try to beat the program. No one's ever beaten the program. Why? Because there are so many algorithms, financial formulas, and really looking at each individual element of this family's picture. It's looking at every one of those debts individually. It's looking at every debt collectively. It's breaking it all down. How is this debt structured? Is it open end or closed end? Is it amortized or non-amortized? And how is the interest being calculated on this particular debt? Is it annually? Is it monthly? Is it weekly? Is it daily? Everything is broken down in the background. And then each one of those debts are collectively mathematics against mathematics being run. And then we bring in the expenses and the income, and all of that is being factored in to the point where there are literally thousands upon thousands upon thousands of calculations going on in the background. Now, the good news is Brad and Cindy don't have to understand any of that math, and neither do you. It's going to put together a precision, customized action plan for each individual family based on their scenario. I love that. Now, here's Brad and Cindy's action plan. This details exactly what they need to do every single day for the rest of their lives. It's going to detail it out. All they have to do is keep the program up to date, tell the program exactly what happened each week, and the program respins the math and gives them a brand new action plan that is customized for them every single week. Or some people do it every day. I'm in my program daily. I love my Money Max account program. I couldn't even begin to manage my money effectively without it. So for Brad and Cindy, one of the first things that you're going to see here is that it's suggesting a transfer on September the 1st of 2023 of 186.82 in order to avoid an overdraft. That's a good thing. That's important. Nobody likes to pay bank overdraft fees. They can be pretty pricey. But I want to ask you this question. Why was their money sitting in savings instead of checking? Why do they need to move that money? Because they have a high yield savings account. And friends, you can get a high yield savings account even today. They're readily available. You just have to Google search high yield savings account and you'll find them at various banks and credit unions. We love Vio Bank. It's one of the best in the country. And right now it's paying a little over 4% on money that's sitting in savings. Well, friends, that certainly beats earning nothing on your checking account. And what the Money Max is doing is literally taking advantage of that high yield savings at the same time it's helping Brad and Cindy get out of debt. Now, on the next slide, it shows us that if I hover my mouse over the mortgage payment, Brad and Cindy are set to make their very first mortgage payment. They just got into this home. They're going to make their first mortgage payment September 1st of 2023. And if I hover the mouse over that, it shows, guys, your first payment of $2,837.65 is due on the first. And after you make that payment, the principal balance on your mortgage is going to go from 389.9 down to 389,511.85. Does that math seem a little weird to anybody? Does that does that bring up any red flags in your mind? Think about that. You're paying $2,837.65, and the bank says, congratulations, your new principal balance is now going to be 389,511.85. Well, I'm going to bring in my calculator to show you how wonky banking math can be. 389.9 down to 389,511.85. You paid $2,837.65, and the bank credits your account $388.15. Wait a minute. What happened to the rest of Brad and Cindy's $2,800? Interest. Friends, you know without me even telling you, interest is heavily front end loaded. And by the way, not just in mortgages, it's that way in your cars, your trucks, your boats, your RVs. Any amortized debt that you have, interest is very heavily front end loaded, and it's in the bank's favor. Let me show you a couple of examples. And by the way, these are legal banking documents that you're seeing. This is even banking language. We didn't change anything on either one of these documents that you're going to see. You see, when you take out any kind of amortized loan, the bank is required by law to give you a loan estimate / closing disclosure. Used to be called truth in lending. They didn't like how true it was, so they changed the wording to say loan estimate closing disclosure. This is not Brad and Cindy. This is a different client that borrowed $395,126 on a mortgage. Look how much interest the bank is tacking on top of that. Are you kidding me? You're going to lend me $395,000, but I've got to pay back not only the $395,000, I've got to pay back an additional $563,000 of interest, almost $1 million total. Yep. And here's the catch. You see, the bank says in their closing disclosure, APR, annual percentage rate, is not your interest rate. Did you know that? Friends, did you know that? Well, you do now. And some of you are going to get smart and go dig out your loan documents after this presentation, and you're going to be shocked. It's not 7.269% that you're paying, it's the total interest percentage. And yeah, in this particular case, that's 130.58% interest. Here's another example. This family refinanced during the pandemic. They got 3.55 APR. They told us, we don't even want to pay off our mortgage. That's the cheapest money I'll ever be able to borrow. Well, is it? When we pointed out this truth and they found their truth in lending, their loan estimate, closing disclosure, and they saw that they're actually paying 59.26% interest, they changed their mind. They got on the Money Max account. Friends, you've got to understand banks and lenders are in business to charge you as much money as they can possibly charge you. That's how they build the big buildings in every city in America. That's how they rake in billions of dollars annually. Friends, you've got to be smart, and the Money Max account is. So back to Brad and Cindy. Again, it's precision mathematics telling them exactly what to do and exactly when to do it. So it starts off in September on the 5th, and it tells them, guys, you've got $5,138 in your savings account. You're going to be able to add a little bit to that this particular pay cycle. And then we want you to take 191508 out of that savings and pay off your American Express. Now watch this. When they do that, that's going to save them $2,608 of interest. They no longer have to pay American Express. Now, friends, as I go through the first 3 months for Brad and Cindy, I want you to kind of mentally look at and realize and kind of in your mind start adding up how much the interest starts stacking up in savings in their favor. I want you to really see how this works. Then the program tells them take 1876.87. Notice that every amount is precise, right to the penny. That's because there's never a penny that slips past the Money Max account. It's accounting for every penny. And friends, if it's my money, every penny matters, and it should to you too. So it tells them take 1876.87, pay additional principal on the Visa. That's going to save you another $2,786 of interest that you don't have to pay Visa. Now, that doesn't entirely pay off the Visa card. We're going to come back to that in a moment. But we get into the month of October, it tells them that they can move some more money from checking to savings. Friends, even if it's only a day, a week, or 3 or 4 weeks, every time they can earn interest on their money and park it in that high yield savings account, that means their money is being more efficient and more effective for them. So they take advantage of that. Nothing unusual going on the rest of October. We get into November, and look at this. The program is now telling them take $2,700.32 and pay off that MasterCard. There's another $4,276 of interest savings. You no longer have to pay the bank. It's adding up the savings in their benefit, friends. Then it circles back and says, let's finish paying off the Visa. That 225.72 that brings that Visa balance down to zero, that's going to save you another $21 of interest. And then look at this. Is it going to go after the car next? The student loan? What's it going to go after next? The mortgage. 90622, pay additional principal, and timing matters too, by the way. 5 days after they make their regular mortgage payment, send 90622. Again, notice how precise that number is. 90622 additional principal to the mortgage. That saves you another $4,452 of interest that you don't have to pay the bank. Friends, I'll give you a hint. In the first 3 months of Brad and Cindy's action plan, this program saved them well over $14,000 of interest. And you can see at the end of November, it's prompting them to move another 8787 from checking to savings to take advantage of that high yield savings account. So that's how the program works, friends. And we're going to show you a couple of more features and benefits of the program in a moment. But I want to invite Marty to come back in and just share with you what this program has been doing for some of her clients.
Yeah, thank you, Lynn. This is super exciting. I love that we get to help people get away from being on the wrong side of compound interest most of their working life, right? People's wealth building potential is taken from them, and it's because we don't even question the system that we're in, right? And so every day we get to show people what's possible. Like I mentioned, each client free, no obligation consultation. We run their exact numbers, no bank account numbers or anything sensitive, just outstanding loan balances, interest rates, monthly payment amounts, just a little bit about their budget. We run it through our proprietary system, and it gives them that report of how much they're going to save. And so I like to log into my back office because it shows me every day that my clients overall are paying off more debt. Every time I log in, they've paid off more debt. And so if I'm ever having a bad day, I'll go look at that because it just makes me happy to know that people are logging into their Money Max account and continuing to save so much of their own hard-earned money. But just a few results. We've helped a lot of people here. This one's super fun though. I helped a real estate investor a few months ago get started. He has eight properties, 6 mortgages remaining. His goal was to pay them all off so he could quit his full-time job and just manage the rental properties. He's going to be debt-free in 9.9 years on 6 mortgages. And he's saving $748,989 in interest. Here's the report that was sent to him via email. Okay. And then that's not even talking about how much wealth he's building in addition, because so much of that money is not thrown away as a tip to the bank, right? Here's another one. Here's from one. If they followed the bank's plan on their mortgage and their student loans, their debt of $554,000 would have cost them $1.08 million to pay back. Instead, with Money Max, with the same cash flow, just used more strategically. Like Lynn said, mathematic precision. Instead of 28 years, they're debt free in 11.8, and they're saving, guess how much? $329,610 in interest. This person was 55 years old when they started. This is the difference between them being able to retire or not, right? And so we get to change everything for people. For me, I've purchased 3 Money Max accounts. I came here as a do-it-yourselfer who had no debt, learned about this, and thought, man, I wish someone had told me about this 20 years ago, because we lived way below our means. We sacrificed for a long time. We skipped vacations. We only went to visit our parents. That doesn't count. I love them, but it doesn't count as a vacation. And if we'd had this program, we would have saved more money and interest than what we did. We would have seen how to build more wealth, and we wouldn't have been so debt averse, right? Because if debt makes you money, it's okay. And the Money Max account will show you how to do that too, right? And so uh, we just want to help people get money working for them instead of working so hard just to make the banks rich. And that's just a few testimonies. If you talk to the person who invited you, they have more stories they can share with you. So thank you, Lynn.
Thank you, Marty. Appreciate that very much. And that's so exciting for you and those other families. We're excited about that. Friends, we do get excited. We celebrate every time somebody gets on the program, how much money they're going to save, when they're going to be debt free. We love it. Let me show you a couple other quick features and benefits of the Money Max account. There's a lot. There's a lot more than I can go into in one presentation, friends. This is incredibly complex and yet simple and easy to use. One of the things I like the most about the Money Max account is that it literally shows you what the outcome will be for every financial decision you make. I'm going to say it a little bit differently. You can actually choose what your financial future looks like based on how you manage your money, and if you choose to join us, how many other people you choose to help. And you'll see that in a moment. So Brad and Cindy are looking at their budget. They're pretty excited about the 10 years, 337,000 that it's going to save them. But they start deciding, if we save a little bit of money here, and Marty, can you mute Steve there? Thank you. They start looking at that and saying, if we can save a little bit of money here and save a little bit of money there, what could it do for us? So they decide to trim about $150 a month out of their spending, and they figure out how they can do that without harming them in any way. They get rid of some subscriptions that they're no longer using, that kind of thing. With that $150 a month saved, now they could be out of debt in 9.6 years and save $343,000. Look at their new payoff date, April the 20th of 2033. That's when the light bulb goes on, and Cindy says to Brad, Brad, we need to be helping other families. We need to be introducing this to other people. We've already seen how we can make about $1,000 on average per family just by introducing them to the program after training about $1,000 a family. Why aren't we doing that? We need to help at least one family a month, and Brad agrees. So they decided to start part-time, helping one family a month. And after training, that's going to give them at least $1,000 a month extra income. What is that going to do for Brad and Cindy? Well, now they're going to be debt-free in 7.8 years, saving $372,000. Look at their new payoff date. Friends, you choose what your financial future looks like, and the Money Max will guide you to achieve it. That is so incredibly powerful. Now, for Brad and Cindy, they decide we want to start setting a little bit of money aside to take those vacations periodically that Marty was talking about. So we're going to increase our spending back. They're going to put the 150 back, plus they're going to add another 250 to it. So they're increasing their spending by 400 a month, and they're going to put that in an account aside so that they can take that vacation once or twice a year with their family. They're still going to be debt free in 8.5 years. They're still saving $360,000, and they're still going to be debt free by February the 20th of 2032. Friends, do you see how you can now, with the Money Max account, you choose what your financial future looks like? And it will show you exact results of every decision you make before you have to make that decision. Brad and Cindy are super excited about their new life until the end of December 2023 when the unexpected happens. Cindy comes home right after Christmas 2023. She's got a pink slip in her hand and she says, "Honey, you will not believe it. I got laid off. The company is laying about 300 of us off. I'm unemployed January 1st." He says, "Well, nothing we can do about it. You got to take your income out." Remember, she was the top income earner. So they take her income out. Does the program say, "Oh, sorry, it didn't work"? Does the program say, "Oh, better luck next time"? No. I want you to look at what the program tells them. And this will absolutely amaze you. It amazes me every time I see it. It says, guys, yes, you are going to run out of money, but not for 30 months. You're not going to run out of money, even without Cindy's income. You're not going to run out of money for 30 months, 2.5 years. June the 1st of 2026 is when you're going to run out of money. Do you know what kind of peace of mind that gives, Brad and Cindy? Incredible peace of mind. So Cindy, she says, "Brad, I'm not going to go back to corporate America. Why would I? I can go to work full time as an independent agent and build my own agency with United Financial Freedom. I can help enough people where I'm earning maybe four, five, six, $7,000 a week." And Brad says, "Honey, I know you can. If anybody can, you can." But he says, "I want you to be conservative." So she's conservative and she puts in just $3,000 a week income and she gives herself time to build up to that. You'll notice that that doesn't even start until February the 23rd of 2024. What's that going to do for Brad and Cindy? They are now going to be debt free in 3.5 years. 3.5 years, friends. I want you to take a note of that new debt free date, February the 19th of 2027. 3.5 years, friends. The banks were going to have them in debt for 30 years. And at the end of that journey with the bank, they were scheduled to pay $492,000 of interest and barely get out of debt at the end of that 30-year journey with nothing for retirement. With the Money Max account, no, that's out the window. That's behind us. They're going to be debt free in 3.5 years. For Brad and Cindy, that means by the time they're 38 years old. And they're going to save 442,000 of interest. $442,000, friends. You heard the testimonial that Marty just gave and how much money we're saving families. This is not unusual. This is pretty typical, pretty average for an average American family. But what's even more important than the money, as good as that is the time. The time is even more important. Why? Because that means now they can get their money working for them instead of the bank. And if they only got a 1% return on that money, once they're debt free, they start putting all of that money that they were paying in debt payments every month, they put it to work for them, even if they only got a 1% return. At the end of that same 30-year journey, friends, they will have 4.7 million for retirement. Friends, if that doesn't blow your mind, I don't know what will. They literally now go from having nothing for retirement to where they can have at least 4.7 million. And yes, we can do a lot better than 1%. But the story doesn't end there. You remember I asked you to look at what was their new payoff date? It was February of 2027. Well, here's the thing. Cindy's income didn't stay at $3,000 a week. She built an agency with United Financial Freedom. And friends, you can too. And we're going to show you how to do that in a moment. So where are Brad and Cindy at today? In May of 2026, where are they at? They're debt free. They paid off all of their debt April 17th of 2026. And they didn't save just $442,000. They saved $484,713. Friends, how does that happen? How in the world did that happen? Well, I want you to look at Brad and Cindy's current income. They decided, Brad, you need to give up your day job and you need to join forces with Cindy and work United Financial Freedom as a couple. They decided that early this year, by the way. So early this year, Brad actually walked away from his day job, voluntarily left, went to work with his wife. They're now earning over $7,500 a week on average. And with bonuses, they're bringing home an average of $32,500 a month. That's how they're debt free. And they're not only debt free, that income is now building them wealth for a future that they couldn't even dream about 5 years ago. Friends, I love what Steve Jobs said. He said, we don't give people what we think they want, we give them what they never thought was possible. I want to go into switching gears here for a moment and show you how is that kind of income possible. Kevin Foster, are you still on with us here this morning, brother? I'd love to have you unmute and just talk for a couple of minutes about what is an independent agency model business. Kevin, are you on?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Awesome. Go ahead, Kevin.
Yeah. So an independent agency model would be maybe something I did in my past. I was a farmer's insurance agent. So farmers would be an agency model. Well, what about a real estate? Well, there's Remax, there's Keller Williams. Those are agency models. And so an agency model business is where you own the agency, but you're able to build a team in your agency that you help them and support them. And when they do a transaction, whether that be real estate or sell insurance, you get paid as the agency owner. It's a great way to be able to get a very lucrative income system put in place. Thanks, Lynn.
Thank you, Kevin. I appreciate that very much. And what Kevin said is so absolutely true. These are examples. Kevin, I think you had, I don't remember exactly, I'll let you tell it, but you had an agency similar to these or one of these.
Yeah, I had a farmer's insurance agency.
So you know what it's like to have that brick and mortar agency. It cost you a whole lot of money to get into, did it not?
It did. This was many, many years ago, but I had to show $15,000 in my bank to be able to just be qualified to try to become an agent in that system because they wanted me to have money because you typically didn't make money right away, right? It took some time to get things up and running.
And that's when the real overhead began, right?
100%.
Thank you, Kevin. I know you're busy and doing other things, so thank you for jumping
Yes,
in
sir.
there. Friends, this is literally something that is so incredibly unique. Like Kevin said, it gives you an opportunity to build an agency business under the United Financial Freedom umbrella, but we're not going to charge you 15,000. Not going to charge you 25 or 50,000. This agency system is a whopping $199. That's it. And you don't even have to take that money out of your pocket. You can borrow that on a credit card, and by the time that credit card payment comes due, you've already made thousands of dollars. So it's not a big deal, friends. You can literally get started, nothing out of pocket. And it's virtual, it's remote. You can work anywhere in the 50 continental US states. You can work anywhere in the US. Friends, think about that. No territories, no income cap, no license required. National opportunity, automated commission increases, automated rank promotions. There's 6 different ways to earn. Now, I'm not going to go through all 6 of these ways. I'm just going to kind of highlight and touch on a couple of these here this morning. But I know you're all thinking, how in the world are Brad and Cindy making $7,500 a week income with United Financial Freedom? Well, I'm going to show you. When you start out, you're going to be assigned a certified field trainer. And in the beginning, for the first 4 training sales, because we want you trained, we're going to assign you a certified field trainer. They're going to teach you the ropes. You're going to make an average of about $600 per sale. Now, if you get busy and get serious in the first 30 days, you can jump all the way from training associate by completing 4 training sales and bringing 3 of those clients into your agency as agents. You can jump all the way to director. We call it our fast track. Now you're making an average of $1,500 every time you help a family. And friends, I don't know if you're really seeing this or not, but that means you bypassed a lot of the volume necessary to get to director just by getting serious, jumping in with both feet, and doing just 4 training sales and recruiting 3 agents within your first 30 days. You can do that. A lot of people are doing that. We're seeing a lot of people promote it. But I want to point out something else here. In between each one of these ranks, and all of this is automatic. So as you help more families, you're going to automatically get a rank increase. You're going to get a bump in rank title, a bump in commissions. This is all automatic, but in between each one of these ranks is what we call spread. For an example, if you're a managing director and you're getting $1,900 every time you personally help a family, if you have an associate on your team that's been through training and maybe they missed their 30-day mark, so they're only getting $1,200, they didn't quite get to director. Well, every time they help a family, that's $700 difference. That spread goes to you. Maybe you've got a director on your team. They got excited. They jumped in with both feet. They hit that director mark in their first 30 days. They're making $1,500 every time they help a family. And now they're trained. You don't even have to help them anymore. You don't even have to be there. But because your commission level is $1,900, when they help somebody, you get the difference. You get the spread. Friends, you can go all the way up to executive director, and the requirement guidelines are right here in this column. You don't have to do all the work yourself. A lot of that volume can come from your team, which makes it really easy to achieve. You only have to achieve X amount personally. The rest can come from your team. You can get all the way up to executive director, where you're making an average of $2,100 every time you help a family. Now, let me give you an example. Let's say that Kevin is a senior executive director or an executive director, which he is. And let's say that he's got 5 agents in his team, a managing director, senior director, director, senior associate, associate. Let's say that every time any of those other agents in his team make a sale, Kevin gets the override. He gets the spread. He gets the difference. Well, that's exactly how this works. It's an agency model. If I'm the broker at Keller Williams and one of my agents makes a sale, I'm getting compensated. That's an agency model business. So let's say that all 5 of his agents plus Kevin make 1 sale a week. They help 1 family a week. What is Kevin's pay? $49.50 for that week. Friends, if that continues for a year, that's equivalent of over $250,000. But let's say they push a little bit and stretch a little bit, and they each help 2 families a week. Friends, that's $9,900 a week income for Kevin. $514,000 a year. There's no income cap. How did Brad and Cindy get to making $7,500 a week? They built an agency. That's it. That's all they did. They built an agency. And friends, you can do the same. And by the way, it doesn't stop. Kevin is an executive director. He's in my team. So now every time Kevin and anybody in his branch or his base shop or his agency, whatever you want to call it, anytime any of them make a sale, I get 8.16% of that, which averages $270. I'm not even there. If they go out and help 5 families a week, 10 families a month, 15 or 20 families a month, start doing the math. This is on top of what I already showed you. Marty is under Kevin. So every time anybody in Marty's team makes a sale, Kevin is benefiting. And it goes down 6 generations of agencies. Friends, we call this our franchise component, and it is incredibly lucrative. There's bonus pool money that I mentioned briefly. I'm not even going to go into, but it's on top of everything that I've already shown you. Friends, you can make a $500,000. You can make $1 million. You can make whatever you want to make with United Financial Freedom. It all comes down to how many people are you willing to help and just getting started. And it's pretty simple to get started. Again, you don't even have to use your money. Leverage the bank's money. 199 on a credit card gets you into business. Get the Money Max program yourself. Highly recommend that because that's your power. That's your key to success. Friends, when you can share with people, this is what the program is doing for me, and this is what it's doing for our family, that gets attention. You want to get on the Money Max account. You want to accomplish what you didn't previously think was possible. And we've got financing, including a zero down option with payments of just $149 a month. Friends, think. You're not taking any money out of your pocket. And by the time that payment comes due, you've made thousands and thousands of dollars by simply helping other people. So just imagine how different your life can be a week from now, a month from now, a year from now. I'm going to wrap it up with this because it is so true. Zig Ziglar, one of the most successful salespeople of all time, made this statement, and he is spot on. He says, you can have everything in life you want if you'll just help enough other people get what they want. And by the way, you don't even really have to sell. You just show. You show people what it'll do for them, and they will be smart enough to get started. So, Marty, I'm going to let you wrap this up here this morning and invite people to get back to whoever invited them.
Thank you so much, Lynn. Well done as always. Enjoy hearing you share that, and it doesn't get old because the opportunity is fresh for everyone who's not seen this for themselves yet. And so, thank you for being our guest today. We consider it a privilege just to be here and provide this opportunity. We want to expand. We want to reach a million families in the next 2 years. That is our company's plan. And so we enlist you if you're willing, if you like helping people, if you serve others with integrity and you want to make a real difference. This is one of the most impactful things you could do for a family, right? Because their finances touches every other area of their life. It affects their health, their mental health, their ability to give and sow into projects that are important to them, their family relationships, reducing stress, and so many different things. And so people deserve to know that they have more financial potential than they've been told. We have 73% of people dying in debt, and that it just shouldn't be so, right? So are we going to be a country that drives around looking like we're rich with our list of 10 debts, or are we going to help people actually become wealthy? And so strongly encourage you, please get back with the person who brought you here today. Thank them for providing this information to you. Request your free financial analysis. Again, you'll get to see exactly what's possible for you. And the numbers speak for themselves, right? That story tells itself. And we just welcome you to the team. We're excited to get to know you and work with you and change some more lives. So thank you again, everyone.
Thank you, Marty. Thank you, Kevin. Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.